four-time Oscar winner. It won Best Picture, Best Directing, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Editing. It was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Scarface?
It is a 2006
Not
film
Scarface.
by film Gangster veteran Martin Scorsese.
Goodfellas.
And it is The Departed.
Really?
Oh, The
That one
Departed.
ended.
Joe really liked
Dun,
that
dun,
movie.
dun, 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 dun,
I don't even remember watching that movie.
dun, dun, dun.
But I do love Leonardo DiCaprio.
How dare you?
Why?
I don't know.
He's pretty miscast in this one.
Okay.
But
Is he?
I do like Matt Damon as the mole.
Matt
Spoiler,
Damon.
but you already know that just from the trailer.
So we're going to take you back in time to
Boston!
2006. Southie Boston.
This man, Nicholson's character was well known for being heavily influenced by Whitey Bulger, who Johnny Depp played in Black Mass.
Oh,
Yeah.
A
okay.
real life gangster. He was very heavily inspired by that Irish mobster.
So it is about an undercover cop played by Leonardo DiCaprio and a mole.
Billy is his name.
Yeah.
Right.
Costigan. Billy Costigan.
There you go.
And the mole in the police, played by Matt Damon, attempt to identify each other while infiltrating an Irish gang
He's
in
pretty
South
gangster.
Boston, bossed by Jack Nicholson. So
I have to say, I really like the detectives in this. Martin Sheen as the chief, Alec Baldwin as the superior, and then Marky Mark, who got an Oscar nom.
oh yeah, it was
Who is Marky Mark on here?
He's like the other top dog overseeing the undercover. And the
Yeah.
irony is he's actually smarter than everyone else combined. He comes off as a total douche, but he's just often in the corner saying, hey, And Alec Baldwin is just fucking hysterical in this, with how he just is like, who the fuck hired you? Oh, I'm with the FBI. They hired me. Okay, well, I want you to get the fuck out of this office. He's basically going full Glingery Glen Ross in
Yeah.
this.
So
Martin Sheen's like the only guy who like treats anyone decent. He doesn't. I don't even recall him saying a single curse word.
which character?
Martin
Martin
Sheen. He's
Sheen.
the
Yes, he's supposed to be
The captain.
up straight.
and
guy.
I get so pissed off each time he dies. Don't kill Marty.
So in the film, I notice every time there's a death, there's like an
Splat.
X. There's no.
There is.
There's a splat.
There's so many splats in this movie.
There
It's
is,
fucking
but
ridiculous.
there's always an X on screen. There's always X's by people
Thank you.
marked to die. And I think it was supposed to be a reference to an older film called Little Caesar.
Little Caesar, and what I recall from some other film class where someone brought this up, is like that's just signifying who's going to be next on the icing list.
Yes, that's what it is. Kind of like how Coppola did with the oranges in The Godfather, even though that was unintentional.
Good script by William Madigan. I am a bigger fan of the Infernal Affairs Hong Kong trilogy this is based off of, because those are more like The Godfather, where it's just slow-paced, cool build-up, very organized thinking man's quasi-action movie.
So,
And this one kind of goes more for guns out blazing. It's kind of a greatest hits at first to everything Scorsese's best known for, and then slowly settles in my opinion.
So this film also does a lot of juxtaposition. It's kind of like a lot of these gangster films about that whole this guy's doing one way and this guy's going the other way.
Yeah.
Where we see Matt Damon's character, who is like, I'm an upstanding policeman. I'm a Massachusetts state trooper guy, and I'm really cool, but I'm actually really a secret informant for
And
the
how
Irish
he
mob.
gets in with the gang doesn't they plant him in a prison, and then they have him hang out at the bars, start bar fights.
That was Costigan.
Right.
Yeah. So, and juxtaposed to with Costigan, who is Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and how he was, he's actually a cop, but he's kind of like more rugged, more scrappy, but they place him into the Irish mob, but he's actually the good guy, but the good guy on the other side is actually the bad guy. So that whole thing. But also, I think they explained that Leonardo DiCaprio's character was really smart too, and so they were like, "You're too smart to be a cop. Why don't
They
you
play that
go
up.
be a lawyer?"
They also play how he's basically his dad was a mobster, so he's always felt like he's got to justify his existence.
Oh yeah,
His mom was a whore, yada yada.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Well, Matt Damon's character is interesting because it's like from day one, he's like Jack Nicholson's character was basically, his unofficial dad.
Yeah.
He raised him to be the mole. His entire life, he knows nothing else.
So that kind of brings me to this other question of, can a person be held responsible for the actions of their parents or their relatives?
Yes and no. It just comes back to abuser. Is like you can blame.
There's a
you can
different
blame
situation.
you can blame the bullwhipper, but you can definitely blame the bull.
I will say that there are a lot.
The bullwhipper's more at fault, but at the same time, an attack's an attack.
Just like I would say again, there are a lot of shitty parents out there.
And there's so many layers to it. You're not going to get just one answer.
It's just circumstantial, I would say.
So, kind of like what happened to Costigan, where he was, applied to be a policeman. He didn't, from as far as we know, he didn't commit any crimes himself, but his dad was a member of the Irish mob, and his mother was also not that great.
Never seen, but you get the idea.
Yeah, so he was denied entry into the Massachusetts state troopers because of that, even though he never did anything. So,
I love Anthony Anderson's character in this movie.
Really?
Because this is, he later turns out to be also a dirty cop.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He and James Badgedell, best known for 24 and a bunch of other recent movies, like Flight, are two dirty cops who are also working with Matt Damon. And I love it how he doesn't expect him to betray them both. Also, he's like, I'm just using you to, root him out for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
After, and it's what I get after I've been pistol whipped by this asshole. But yeah, Anderson, I just love how they're both training together, and he's just like, he makes some yada yada joke, and he's just like, fuck yourself.
So, do you think that this isn't as justified to deny DiCaprio's entry into the police force? Because No?
It shows that he's got a lot to measure up, because they don't know if he's going to be a troubled officer or.
But if he's had if he's had a record of not doing anything bad, and they're just going based off of his parents.
I'll tell you what.
I don't think that's fair.
Well, ironically, now that we're on this actually kind of ends up being ironic because it shows later how both the FBI and police force are pretty incompetent at catching the killers. Because remember the chaotic shootout at the van?
Yes.
The guys, and they're like, they keep telling him, the undercover mission is like, this is a bad idea. Don't, to have these two working together. They don't see eye to eye. And of course, the guys get triggered out and say, I'm going after him. Fuck this.
Yeah. So this brings me to the character of Sullivan, who is Matt Damon's character. He was first introduced. Yeah, he was.
He's basically an evil Jason Bourne in this.
Kind of, yeah. So he was introduced to Costello, who is the Irish boss. When he
has a few other scenes with Marky Mark's character.
Yeah, he does.
And basically he knows he's the mole, and he's just like, I fucking hate you.
That's why he shoots him.
He hated him the day he came in, and he just didn't have anything on him yet.
But then he goes in and he shoots him at the end.
Right. Yeah. It's why, and this goes back to the whole how wrong is wrong, and is wrong sometimes right. It's like it doesn't matter. He was like, no one else is ever going to catch this asshole because he's going to cover his tracks, so I'm just going to make it look like he got killed one day in his apartment. So, and he's also one of the various exes in this movie.
Yes, yes. So
this movie was so hyped up because of the three different plot twists at the very end that, they're dating the same psychiatrist, which is already an unprofessional thing to do.
Yeah.
And that, yes, the mole gets away and the other deaths. I would say, if you look at it with a more open mind, get yourself even more acquainted with William Monaghan's style. He has written other movies like Kingdom of Heaven, Edge of Darkness, and the underrated London Brit crime thriller London Boulevard.
Ooh.
And he really has a good use of new age noir and just constant mood without feeling like he's up and down all over the place. He's got a shot like Tarantino.
That's a good skill to have.
Or Guy Ritchie. Yeah, well, but he's not going to put in montages in there, because he's out of, ways to fill the plot. He's really organized, and I hope he does something more.
Yeah. So about Sullivan, he was first introduced to Costello when he was eating at some kind of pub shop, some kind of diner.
Doesn't he? His dad got beat up by him, I think. Or no, he was a he was a bastard. That's right.
Yeah.
And his mom happened to be, at the same cafe, I think.
Yeah.
Costello frequently.
So Costello came in and he was like, he was buying something from the convenience store, and then he goes and he sees the kid, little kid Sullivan, because he was like a little kid, and he was like, I'm gonna buy you all this stuff. Here
Nicholson's
you are.
narration is brilliant.
Yeah.
At the opening.
Mm-hmm. So he was like, here's all this stuff, and if you want more, you come work for me. And that kind of introduced him into this level of being a crime, because he kind of baited him with all these nice stuff.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I
whole
wish
thing.
Jack Nicholson would do more movies. Everyone thinks he's retired.
Is he not retired?
He's not retired. He's just.
Yeah,
He was
he
last
just hasn't
cited.
done
He's
anything
been well. As I said,
forever.
he cited in an interview. I've been only offered movies with explosions. So until I get a script that makes everyone feel emotion, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So
Yes, he has that luxury.
well,
You
and
can
there
hang
was a
around and
rumor
make
that
your
Stallone
games.
wanted him to join the Expendables, but we'll see. But
That would be cool.
I think it's funny how he actually avoids hamming up all his other villain roles like The Shining and Batman, and really manages to flesh this different character out without making it seem like it's an excuse for F-bombs.
Yeah. So there was this one scene where Costigan was trying to defend this shop owner from these guys these two other Irish mobsters trying to collect money or something. So he tries to go in and beat him up and like fights them. And then the clerk was a Pakistani, and he was like, "What's going on? Why does everybody in this country hate each other?" So there goes that whole idea to like, in this country, does it feel like everybody hates each other in this country? What do you guys think?
It's just some
It really
subtleties,
does.
and it's part of Scorsese's trademark. He always has some subtle stuff in there that you're not going to get until you watch it 5 more times, and you
I
will
think-
because it's a Scorsese movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love the scene where Nicholson is doing business with the Chinese guys
Oh yeah,
because it's kind of a fun nod to this movie being from Hong Kong, and how they're even more unimpressed with how he's doing business.
Do you have a math equation behind your ear?
No.
Isn't that say like
What's
the
that?
absolute of -2 equals
What's that?
2?
No, it's
guys. What's that?
they're out there making noise now
Okay.
because we're like way over our time.
So how would we wrap this movie?
Oh wait, no, Ruby has something she wanted to say. What was it?
Okay.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that. What were we talking about right now? Oh,
Departed.
yeah, but what you were saying because I
But
was
everyone
gonna
hated
bounce.
everybody.
Yeah, everybody hates each other. I think that there are.
There's a few different Jew insults in this movie. It's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, as an actual basis, like, do you want to ask how it feels like now in America? And
Yeah.
I think that it does.
And
It does
in this
feel
one
like that
too,
way.
there's homophobic gangsters. What are you, faggot?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. So I think not much changed since 2006 to now in terms of that. You still
I think it got worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So
The
okay,
mob is
Mark.
not that major now, but it is. Organized crime will always be around. It's just it's easier to hide now behind a desktop
Yeah.
than it is a random camped out, police office.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so The Departed. What do you guys think? Final thoughts.
It's a 4 out of
Mine-
5.
My
But-
husband hypes it up a lot. So.
It's a 4 out of 5,
Okay.
but the Infernal Affairs trilogy, which is a remake of, that's a 5 out of 5.
Okay. I give this one 5 out of 5.
The
What did you give it?
the plot twist with the
5 out of 5.
psychiatrist works better.
Mm-hmm. So you can watch it now on Netflix. Watch it on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So alas, we're at the end of my list.
So
Okay.
Bet you're sad.
next
Yeah,
up,
I'm very sad.
next up, next
So-
up.
It is a 1990 film by our good friend Martin Scorsese.
Again.
Goodfellas.
Yes, it is Goodfellas,
The
which
most
reaches
heavily
from,
ripped off movie today. Everyone's got to have a narration.
Mhm.
I'm
And
the
for good
smartest
reason.
guy in the world.
It follows.
I chose a laugh track.
It takes place from 1955 to 1980 New York City, and is from a biography called Wise Guys by our good friend Nicholas Pileggi, who wrote the book Casino that was also
You
adapted.
guys should totally check out the show Wise Guy.
Okay.
Hmm.
It's another good
Which
one.
is the reason why they didn't name it Wise Guys. They had to change it because of
Copyright
the show.
issues, yeah.
Yeah. So so it's about the story of Henry Hill, played by Ray Liotta, and his life in the mob, covering his relationship with his wife Karen Hill and mob partners Jimmy Conway, played by
De Niro.
De Niro.
Don't forget
And
Paul Sorvino.
yeah, Davino, played by Pesci, in the Italian-American Crime Syndicate, and it won 1 Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for Joe Pesci, and 5 nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Editing.
All right.
Now,
Additional trivia for anyone who wants to know about the Stack Edwards subplot played by Sam Jackson. You can see more about that that armored car robbery and a few other Italian mob movies that cover this same turf.
mm-hmm. So in this film, unlike other people that we have seen and followed in this retrospective, where they seem to have no choice but to join this life of crime, the main character Hill seemed to want it.
I always wanted it. Just from the opening line, I
Yeah.
always wanted to be a gangster.
He always wanted to be a gangster. That is right.
I always wanted
Because
to be a
when he
gangster.
was growing up in New York City, he saw the mafia gangsters being really like well respected and everything. And he's like, "Wow, I want that."
See, and
So-
again, that's how you grow up. You grow up around that.
Yeah. So he was like, "I want to be a gangster. I want to be respected, and all that kind of stuff."
I love the scene where they go to Pesci Davino's mom's house and she's making him dinner, and it's that same day where they've just axed a guy to death in the car.
Oh yeah. I like when he says like, I need to borrow this.
Go get your shine box.
Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
make them seem so normal, right?
And I didn't know the meaning, and I was like, oh, that's making fun of how he's Jewish, what he uses and everything.
No,
It's
I thought
like,
it was because what happened was he used to shine shoes.
well, there's
Yeah.
that too, his reputation, his
Yeah.
occupation in life, but there's also some racial slur underneath that.
Yeah. So that in real life, that I think that actually happened.
Yeah.
That actually happened, but it didn't. He didn't come back again later that day and then kill him. But
Yeah, they're gonna take liberties with
yeah.
that.
In real life, that event happened when that guy returned from prison. Which is actually kind of funny because
That character's played by the excellent Billy Batts, played
Yes.
by the excellent late great Frank Vincent. We miss you.
yeah, and funny enough, Scorsese gave him another role in Casino.
And Raging Bull.
In Raging Bull. So in Casino, he had him
He's the
kill,
Icer guy. Yeah.
he had him kill Pesci instead of Pesci killing him. It's kind of like a payback thing. So that was kind
I
of
got
funny.
your back.
Yeah. So the way the film is portrayed, Scorsese said that he wanted it to be kind of like a live action documentary, and that's kind of like why
Totally.
the
Very inspiring for
yeah.
the docudrama.
yeah, that's kind of like why most of it is narrated and everything. And
It really sets it up better than, because I mean, this character is not looking for any. He's gonna evolve, but he's not looking for any sympathy or anything. It's just kind of showing how he's in for the ride of his life, getting to know these guys and how he's constantly in fear, and yet fear is his drug. He's loving it.
yeah,
Yet he's also shocked. He's like, "Whoa, I wouldn't go that far." You know, he's not gonna kill anybody, but he's gonna hang out with them, so it's guilty by association.
yeah. In the movie, he was arrested by police officers for selling illegally cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was pinched, so to say, he was sent to court, and after that, when he was walking out of the courtroom, Conway, who was like his mentor in the mafia lifestyle, he came to him and was like, "Good job, you're amazing, dude." And he was like, "Why? I thought I got arrested." And he was like, "No, but you did it right. Everybody gets pinched, and you did it right because you didn't say anything and they didn't do
Right,
anything."
and when he's in there, he thinks, "Oh fuck, this is it for me.
Yeah.
I'm a goner."
Yeah, but he came in, and after that, when he left the courtroom, the rest of the mafia was there, and they're like, "Hey, you're,
Aw,
amazing.
happy and
You're
stuff.
amazing, yay!" So
And
it's-
then at the end of the movie, it's foreshadowing how they want. I want to fucking gut his throat. You know,
Yeah.
when he flat out snitches on them all.
in real life, the real life Henry Hill, I believe he experienced like, "Oh, these are not good people, and I don't want to be with these guys anymore." So he tried to escape by joining the military, but he got dishonorably discharged for dealing.
I can't remember
drugs.
if that's in the movie or not.
No, it's not in the movie.
He kind of wanted to he did ask Scorsese to glamorize him a bit, like make him not look like a pussy. And it was like,
Yeah.
you're a total pussy, Henry.
Oh snap! But yeah, so there was also the famous helicopter scene where they chronicleize his final day
Yeah.
before
Getting
going
snagged.
to the FBI, I believe. So he it was like
Lorraine Bracco was really excellent as Miss Hill.
Mm-hmm. So it was like a very fast pace, a lot of editing, fast editing, very quick cuts, kind of showing like his paranoia and all that kind of stuff. And because he was also high on cocaine while he was doing this, and so it was like very.
I thought that was a taxi driver.
Yeah, maybe I didn't know. Maybe that too.
I thought he had gotten over it because De Niro helped him.
Mm-hmm. So
it's so funny how De Niro is always playing a hard ass, and yet he's the guy getting everyone out of deep shit all the time.
Is there a movie where he plays like a sweethearted guy?
Who? Robert De Niro?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now Meet the Fockers.
That doesn't count.
Not
That's
really.
a comedy. I'm talking. He's an asshole in Meet the Fockers.
But he's not like that.
You should
he's
check
just
out
a concerned father.
You should check out Flawless by the underrated Joel Schumacher, where he helps out a cross-dressing gay guy, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Okay. Just avoid getting pinched by these mobsters, and it's kind of a semi-gritty, comedic version of Taxi Driver. Because I don't know if there's any direct references to it, but it's not about cleaning up crime. It's just helping them get away from these guys. Hey, just stay at my place. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Have you guys seen Silver Lining Playbook by
Yes.
David Russell?
Mm-hmm.
Was he cool in that film? I know he was in it.
He was a hard ass in that one because he's a dad who's very estrained from Bradley Cooper's.
From his
but
dad, yeah.
That's more. I would say Men of Honor is probably one where he's a hard ass, but the right kind of hard ass, where he's trying to discipline a guy, make sure he can get in the Navy because you're a good soldier.
Mm-hmm. So
there's a few other ones. New York, but you're right. He's made a living. But I like him because I think he's really expanded himself over Pacino and a few of these other guys.
Wait, no, that was the one called The Intern.
Oh yeah,
he is good in that one
with Anna Hathaway.
With
Anne Hathaway.
Well, that's just it. New York
is also
Myers.
Yeah, so he was.
I actually like that one.
Yes, he was.
That's a feel-good movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
So we got to talk about the Copacabana scene.
Copacabana.
Yeah, where it was this masterfully shot and blocked film scene where Henry and what was his wife's name? Karen. Was that it?
Yeah. Are you talking about the scene where they're inside the diner and it's like it does one of those?
Karen.
Those shots where it does a rack focus shot.
No, it was.
Remember where it's still the camera's still there and yet the scenery behind it is kind of slowly getting out of focus while they're.
No, I'm talking about the scene where Henry and Karen walk into the Copacabana through the kitchen and into the main area.
Okay.
But there was this one long take, this one long tracking shot that followed them, and it was very masterfully done.
Oh, okay.
In my humble opinion.
That'd be good. I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
I've not seen this in a while.
So yeah, it's considered to be one of the best gangster movies out there to date.
Scorsese also supervised the TV version of this.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So what do you guys think about the whole concept of no honor among thieves?
No what?
No honor among thieves.
Goes without saying. It really does.
Especially within.
I mean, you
this
kind of
film and
have
all that
to
kind of
expect
stuff.
it. Like, if you're
if
amongst
you're
people that are
stealing-
like that, I mean, what's to say that
If
someone's
we're robbing
not
a
gonna...
bank together, what's to stop you from
exactly.
saying, you know what?
Like, I'm not gonna trust somebody who I know
that
has
50-50
done other
agreement.
untrustworthy things.
So it
That
also
50-50 agreement, you can forget about it. Let's have a discount.
So in another question is at the end throughout the entire film, Henry always looks down on people who would go to the police and all that kind of or rat, and so that kind of thing. And he always looked down on that until the very, very end when he figured out, the rest of the mafia are gonna kill me because we lost all the cocaine. Oh no.
Cocaine.
Because the FBI raided them. So, so he was afraid that the mafia were gonna come in and whack him.
Right.
But so what he ended up doing was he ended up going to the FBI and gave up everybody.
So that they could go in and they wouldn't be able to whack him.
Yes, and then he was then admitted to the witness protection program,
Mm-hmm.
and where he lived for a bit, and that's how it ends. So, what do you think about that whole idea of also going against your morals, even though he was very strongly against snitching, but near the very end,
it was just about survival.
Yeah, okay.
At that point,
It really is a survival movie. The last half, his marriage is in ruins. He's in ruins.
Yeah, like he never wanted to have to do it, but
he's with this coke whore, so he's already an adulterer. He has
yeah.
But he stayed
and
with
if that
his
was
wife,
mostly
yeah.
the best thing for him, like so that he wouldn't get whacked. I mean, of course he's gonna
just put all those bastards away.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, the real life Henry Hill, I think he was kicked out of the witness protection program because he was dealing drugs.
Did Pesci's character actually die for real, or did they Hollywoodize that?
No, he was killed.
They Hollywood.
Except the only thing is
Because he gets iced at the end.
It's because the guy that he killed, remember in the bar scene, in real life, the guy that he killed, it was that guy. Bats was that guy, and he was a made man. And in the mafia, being a made man means that nobody can touch you. And the only way to kill him is that you have to get the okay from the Don, and you better have a good reason. So
I slept with my wife.
Yeah. And so the funny thing is that this guy, he was Bats was actually really good friends with Gotti, the Teflon Don.
I did not know that.
And so Gotti was really mad when he found out that what was his name? Tommy DeVito. When DeVito killed him, when DeVito shot him, he was like, okay, you know what? We're gonna pretend that he's gonna be made, and then we're gonna take him to a basement. And when he got into the basement, he noticed that the people there were wearing gloves, and that's when he knew, oh, I'm being
That's
whacked.
right.
And so some people say that Gotti himself shot him. The only thing about in the
Gotti's more convoluted than O.J. Simpson to some extent.
So in the film, in Goodfellas, they say that they shot him in the face because they didn't want him to have an open casket. But in real life, they never found the body.
So an autopsy report wouldn't have made a difference. They never found a body.
Yeah, so they never found a body. So that's the thing about DeVito's.
You would have to talk to the murderers, and they're probably all in hiding or dead or in witness protection. So,
for the most part, this film is actually very, very accurate to the real life story.
And you really get involved with it. Its influence is undeniable. I can't see any gangster movie being made with the styles that they came up with, given this film's influence.
Yeah. So, final thoughts. Goodfellas. Final
5
thoughts.
out of 5, and it's a classic.
Yeah. What do you think?
I really like Ray Liotta, so I'll give it a good rating.
Okay.
The money.
You can watch it now on Cinemax. So
you mean Skinemax?
Yeah.
Skinemax.
I don't think.
It's no longer Skinemax, but which sucks.
Do they still do?
They don't show top flicks anymore. They want to be taken serious, so now they just show a lot of dramas and comic book adaptations and action shows.
Yeah. Okay, so it's on Cinemax. So okay, honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
Oh, he has an honorable mention.
Fireworks by Beat Takeshi. Really good Yakuza film.
That's a good one.
That's it. That's all I'll say about it. Okay, guy, your turn.
Rodriguez.
So I basically wanted to first start off with how
her Red Shoe Diary.
How the definition of gangster can be so many things. It can be mafia related. It could be gang related.
That's the same thing.
Nowadays, not mafia related. But I mean,
If
some
you're in a
gangs are not mafia related.
It can be a gang of bank robbers.
Like
it can
Crips
be a gang.
and fucking Bloods.
That's
they're
a
not.
street gang.
Yeah, but they're not mafia related.
Yeah, that's
so that's
true.
what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
There are, and when it comes to movies, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
They're broken down into, it's so versatile, that word, where you could do it in both ways. But also, nowadays, gangsta is used as a slang word, as another thing to say, another way to say cool. Oh man,
gangsta.
That's so gangsta,
Hey,
you know?
Ruby.
What?
Ruby. You're a gangster.
I am. But
You've got a gun.
Oh gosh, yeah.
having a gun does not make
Don't
you a
you fucking point it
gangster.
at me.
First of all,
That is
I'm
a
not
real
pointing
gun.
it at anybody. I'm pointing it at the camera.
That is a real gun.
This is a real gun, but
See what you guys did? This This is why I can't have nice things.
When it comes to gangster movies, are Scarface. Like I said, I don't know why you didn't mention it.
4 out of 5.
Because I couldn't find it on streaming.
I was so fortunate to be with. I was riding with Tony and Clois. We needed some inspiration, so we put on the Blu-ray. And what was so funny is it comes not only with you can cut to scenes and see their crappy edited TV version, like, hey, buzz off, but you can also, it has a kill count and a swear jar meter. And so you get all involved. And it's really even more entertaining because it's like, you can see why this became a cult movie. When I grew up, I was not fond of this. I liked the final shootout and that was it. But now, it's just catchy as hell. I think Robert Loggia, the actor, co-star, who's really great in this movie, summed it up best. This movie just comes off as a stage play. It's a party movie, but it's also
Well, I liked how it showed the rise and the demise.
Well, yeah,
like, I love how it shows. Yeah, I love how it shows like he comes into power.
You can see why he's an asshole. I mean,
by fucking shooting somebody,
fucking
to come. It shows how most gangsters, come into power. They fucking kill somebody off. They backstab somebody. Or, that's what it showed in this movie. And so that's why I liked how they showed the rise and the demise.
Next time my brother has a party, we are so watching this.
Yeah, so we should. It's a good movie. Like, I can always watch it. I would never say, don't put that on, or what are we watching, or anything like that. Like,
so over the top.
I like Scarface. It's very dramatic.
It's hard to believe that people hated this.
I don't.
Back in the day.
Al Pacino is great.
He really does good. He's not Cuban, but
he's not
gives
Cuban,
it a run
but
for
he really does a good job. And I didn't even know there was one before, like in the 30s.
The original's really good too.
Yeah, the original. I've never even seen it.
Great piece of noir.
What's her name? Michelle Pfeiffer. She was great. Like, she played the role, I think, very well. Like, she was, a dope head, and that's all she did is she went where the money was.
Stephen Bauer is excellent. Stop doing that tongue thing.
Where she went.
His buddy.
Oh, on the thing? Yeah, you thought it was like, stop doing that.
He's now on the excellent Ray Donovan and was previously on Breaking Bad. And it's just a shame that his career has been not taken off like Pacino's.
And then at the end, too, it kind of shows how, whenever everything is crumbling apart,
you want to keep it together even though it's...
Well, no, it makes it so apparent once he shoots his own sister. Like, he's so caught up and doing everything by himself and still fucking, like, trying to handle everything on his own and still saying, thinking that there's some kind of hope for him to make it out of here. Probably all the fucking coke that he has, in his head.
You still think he's going to get out of it.
Right, it kind of gives you a little bit of hope.
His whole guard troop is all
but
eliminated.
once you see that he shoots his sister, it's like, oh, man, it's fucking down here from there.
Cool trivia. Brian De Palma's best buddy Spielberg showed up to the set, and he got to direct some key moments in the final shootout.
Oh, really?
After suggesting it to him, and De Palma said, well, Steven, I love you. Why don't you give it a shot?
That's nice.
You got some free time?
What a nice friend.
Yeah, and then, of course, at the end, whenever he falls into the pool, that's
it's a total Western
iconic.
At the end.
Yeah.
Minus the cheesy, shootouts.
And then it has to be like... That one guy that No, the one that actually like shoots him in the back, like
fucking let it go.
He looks so Terminator like and everything. And he's like, you've never seen this guy ever. Like throughout the whole movie, it's just this one cold badass guy. And we're not gonna explain who he is, where he came from. We're just gonna give him the straight up like gloomy and this guy means business. And of course he's the one that kills him, right?
And it sucks how every other.
So the other one is Boys in the Hood.
Yes.
Because like I said,
this is Stand By
Gangster.
Me, but with thugs, yeah.
But this isn't really, I don't see much of the, like they don't mention that it's an actual gang. This is more
there's
of
some
like...
mean policemen in this one.
Yeah,
also.
There's policemen, there's like racism and stuff like that going on.
College, future.
What I like that it shows a lot is how... You grow up in these circumstances, just like you said, you're a victim of the circumstances that you're growing. And they show how this one actual guy, the brother of Ice Cube, he's actually trying to get out. Yeah, Doughboy. He's actually trying to get out of the hood, and he has a good, head on his on his shoulders, and he has a scholarship, because he's so good at football, and he's about to get out, right?
You've seen this, right?
No.
Oh well, this also makes good use of the docudrama angle, because at the end it has like a a prefix of a text scrolling, and it really makes you say so and so he was never seen again, stuff like that, and it really is cool because it's a drama first and a crime movie second.
Yeah.
And at the end it goes all total high noon.
Yeah, it really just shows how
Ferris
even
Bueller,
though
this is not.
you're trying to get out, it doesn't always
Lawrence
happen that way
Fishburne,
because
fucking
of
fantastic.
everybody else around the neighborhood that you're in.
The finale reminds me very much of The Godfather. Just how it's a montage,
Like when it's pulling away from
and you're seeing all the guys suit up.
Oh yeah.
And how the dad's looking around saying, "You better come back.
Yeah,
I see you dead."
And there's always like Lawrence Fishburne plays that role model type that he's trying to tell these kids differently. He's trying to teach these kids differently.
He knows that they're gonna get wild.
Get out.
He doesn't care if they lose their virginity as long as they use rubber.
Yeah, there's that one part.
That's a good moment because it's not gratuitously done. It's meant to show. It's like, okay, he's a guy.
It's meant to show them growing up
human
in
sexuality.
the hood. Because this is another one where they show them how they grew. They were in the same neighborhood. Like the dad has always lived across, the person Doughboy's house and all of that. They've always lived in the same neighborhood, and so it shows them how they grew from being young to adolescent, and then they grew up to be older and stuff like that. At the end, it does show how most of the guys that are in the movie, they end up dying, just because that's the circumstances of the hood.
It never gets preachy. Some people prefer all the Hughes Brothers movies. I'll give them Dead Presidents, but this one is up there with Dead Presidents for me. Menace to Society, it's a good movie. Even I haven't seen the director's cut.
Yeah, Menace to Society is another one that's like this.
This one just resonates with me more because of how it's just very organized and intriguing, and while also it feels like I'm watching a real movie. I am all the more impressed at just kind of the 70s kind of style of it, as well as how it kind of one-ups the game. There have already been similar hood movies like Colors around that time, and this just ups the game. And for John Singleton to make his debut at age 22, this is
great.
Fucking dynamite.
Yeah. And I like how so basically throughout the whole movie, there's just back and forth killing, senseless killing. Either, you looked at me the wrong way, or, you want to pass by me with your car. There's the one stupid
gang member, he's still, got a random...
What do you mean?
Baby device.
Oh, yeah. One guy, he's just, sucking on a pacifier for some reason,
and then they're asking him, and to show that he's such a fucking moron, they're asking him simple everyday questions. He's like, what's that?
Yeah.
And it's just like...
So there's, just...
I don't know where you can watch this now.
It shows, it's very, they're not thinking with their heads at all. They're just simply going off of emotion, and it's just how that is in the hood. Everybody has guns. And so one person shoots, another person shoots, and then one person kills that person. That other person finds out. They go and kill one of their guys, and then it's just like that.
I really saw it not too long ago. There's, honest to goodness, no flaws in this movie other than maybe two brief technical moments. One is where one of the guys who is going to college comes back dead, and you can tell that they did the girlfriend's reaction in just one take because... There's 5 seconds, you can just hear John Singleton just yelling, and action, and she's like, ah!
Oh,
and
man,
it's just a brief moment, but in an otherwise excellent movie, there's not a flaw in this movie for me.
Another one that I will say is a gangster movie, is Lawless, and this is another one that takes place in the Prohibition period. Yeah, because I don't want to put, it's the same.
Okay.
But Lawless, is with Shia LaBeouf, Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I remember this one.
And what's the other guy's name?
Gary Oldman?
Guy Pearce?
No.
Guy Pearce.
Who was in it?
Guy Pearce.
The other brother, right? He's
Guy Pearce.
Yeah, Guy
Yes.
Pearce. So...
Jessica Chastain is also in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she is. But I love
the
how...
one who's not Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
Everybody
always gets them confused, right?
Even though they were both in
It's the red hair!
Let me see.
Mia
Wasikowski was also in it. And Jason Clarke.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. So
Jason Clarke's the brother.
Well, what is our overall rating on this
Well,
movie?
I mean, I like the fact that this point, the point of this story really is, it's just depicting the lives of the brothers. Like, it's really just talking about these three brothers and how they run that prohibition business, and then they start getting into trouble because of it. And then basically, like, there's this whole myth behind them not being able to ever be killed. Like, these brothers, they're like immortal or something, but just because of based off of myths and stuff like that. Don't they also have their own moonshine that they're making or something like that?
Yes, they do. And Gary Oldman does pretty much shoot scenery in this one, like he usually does. I was not a fan of this one. I am a fan of the director John Hillcoat because he always has a Western vibe in all of his movies, whether it's the apocalyptic movie, The Road, or whether it's the recent Bad Cops, Stealing Money, 999, which I highly recommend. This one, for me, it just never got going for me.
Really?
I think it just was already familiar ground, which is kind of a weak argument because, yes, you're going to already cover the same ground and retell the story in just a slightly different way. This, for me, I thought, for whatever reason, just took a while longer to just really establish the narrative and was really relying on the actors, and I just
establish the narrative because it talks about several things, but it's because mainly the story is not about a main idea. It's mainly just about the brothers.
But for me, it
and
was
how in life they grow up, and the whole myth about them not being able to be killed and stuff like that. Because something does end up happening to Tom Hardy.
It was meant to be a slow burn, but I kind of felt like it never truly ignited.
Yeah, it was slow. Like, it's not all the way.
I like a slow burn. Some of the best movies are slow burns.
But it's not too slow.
Wham.
Like, it's not where I'm gonna be.
No,
like,
it's not boring.
So bored. Like, at least
I'm
it's captivating and there's things happening, but it's entertaining to me on the basis like it's going somewhere, but at the end you find out that it's really not about. They're not trying to tell you a certain idea or sell you a certain idea. It's basically just a story revolving the brothers and about the brothers, because that's interesting enough.
I will give you that Shia really sheds his Transformers nymphomaniac image here.
Yes, like he does well in this role, and
both in this and Fury, he
did. But I feel so bad for him because he's like the runt of the family, you know, of the two, Tom Hardy and Guy Pearce, because they're so much bigger and much more masculine than him, and so he kind of feels like he's always trying to prove his place in the family, and he comes to his own, to his own coming out and his own maturity and stuff like that. So you see that too in the film. Next one is Pulp Fiction.
Fuck yes.
Because of Tarantino. No, I love. It's just that one scene. That one scene is what does it for me. That one scene between Samuel L. Jackson and what's his name? Travolta.
This for me is no Reservoir Dogs, but it's still a damn fine movie.
Yeah. So that's my favorite scene, and that's the movie that portrays that in a way where it's just like kind of
the dark comedy.
Yeah, the dark comedy.
This is basically a Grand Theft Auto if it were a movie.
Exactly. And the whole, like...
my dad, for the longest time, when he was doing conference calls at home, he was a self-counsel kind of guy, he would always introduce himself as the wolf. Yes, see, I solve problems.
That's
and out of the room, there'd be like 5 people who got the joke.
I would get it. But I love that whole episode, that whole scene with... Let's not suck each other's dicks just yet. What's her name? Uma
Thurman?
Yeah, where she's just like all over the place. Like, she's like, I don't even know. Like, is this
pretty
girl
complicated? Like,
hitting on me? Is she not? Like, she wants to do cocaine now, and it's just like,
is she a woman of the night? Is she a playgirl?
You don't even know. And then like the whole thing where she I did not see it coming where she fucking ends up ODing. I was like, oh shit, and he just reacts so fast and everything. Like, it's crazy. Like, that whole scene is just like, you're so, like, my anxiety's like through the roof. Like, oh my God,
Uh-huh.
So
Tim
that
Roth
was one
is fucking excellent in this movie. Honey Bunny.
Right. You can watch it now on Netflix and Showtime.
Oh, it's on Netflix and Showtime?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and then I'm going to say that my last one is Training Day.
Okay, Training Day.
No.
You skip that one, okay.
I'm going to skip that one.
This...
Well, I like Training Day.
4 out of 5. I can watch this anytime it's on.
Same. I love Denzel in this. I love Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, Detective Alonzo Harris for me ranks up there with Hans Gruber in Die Hard, and Tom Cruise's Vincent in Collateral as just a wonderful cat and mouse type hero. Mm-hmm. Maybe even the title villain in The Hitcher. Just the perfect sense of Cape Fear type terror, where it's just maybe a bit of Silence of the Lambs, because you got the rookie, starts out as a Die Hard with a vengeance, Lethal Weapon movie, and then it becomes kind of a modern day Western where he's taken over this whole town, corrupted it.
Yeah, and
he's a cop.
That's one thing that I like.
Have you seen this?
I was in the first 30 minutes.
Oh. Just take the blue. Take the blue.
I like that this story tells. The story told here is that it only takes one man.
David Ayer is still one of my favorite writers, and I like how all of his movies, SWAT, Sabotage, Street Kings.
Squad.
Yeah. Well, this one I like that they.
Well, on a positive note, even Dark Blue, they all feel like they could be practically in the same universe because he has that kind of street smart style. And it's cool because he's a retired SEAL, and he did a lot of cop inspecting. Yeah. And that he was very heavily involved with this movie, and believe it or not, it was bought way back in '95 on the heels of the Rampart scandal, and they did not rewrite it at all. A total rarity, especially considering Warner Brothers' infamous tirades. They did not rewrite it at all, and Ayer, being a co-producer, actually showed up on the set to supervise Antoine Fuqua's direction and where the story was going. And he even has a cameo at the end as one of the Russian gunmen in the final.
What's the Rampage scandal?
The Rampart scandal was an infamous police corruption back in the late 90s.
Okay.
It was the Serpico of this.
So that's another reason why it's on my list, because I like when they show, again, the corruption of men
in
really power and badge. And it also tells the story of how it all just takes one man. Like, this cop had been doing this for I don't know how long, right?
Yeah.
Then Ethan Hawke comes along, and he's a rookie, and the cop underestimates him and thinks, this rookie's not going to do anything. He's a fucking rookie. You know, all rookies just want to get in,
trivia,
right?
I would have been tempted to see it, but I wouldn't have liked it as much. The original casting for this movie, in consideration, was Samuel Jackson as Alonzo. The closest he got to that was in the movie Lakeview Terrace, and Matt Damon was supposed to play Jake. That would have been interesting, but I liked how Ethan Hawke gave it a more boyish innocence, because he was still, fresh off his, romantic lead teen actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Maturing as an adult.
And I think
he's
they
got
did
the
a good job.
bonita wife, and he's got the bride for her. Anyway, so
I think they did a good job with
TV
the
show,
chemistry in both of them and how they were very well.
The TV show spinoff was actually very underrated. It was by the CSI guys. Jerry Bruckheimer produced it. Training Day, the show.
Oh, it was just
and Antoine Fuqua and Ayer even, co-produced it. Ayer wrote the pilot. It established Bill Paxton as basically an ex-member of Alonzo's gang of corrupt cops. And it was kind of reverse. You had a good black cop going after the crooked white cop. Paxton made it his own, and despite his death, they actually completed the entire storyline and managed to air all the episodes before it ended. I hope it gets a DVD or Blu-ray release in that. Katrina Law from Arrow was one of the cool cops. What made it stand out and avoid from being another procedural, in my opinion, was they also played into a crazy conspiracy that was totally Illuminati worthy. Like, they had this ex-government assassin guy who was doing a bunch of gangland killings, cleaning up the streets, and two of the Three Wise Men, played by the same actors, actually showed up. And one of the corrupt cops, played by Nick Chinlund, who was part of Alonzo's gang, showed up also for like 2 to 3 episodes in a key
that's good
role.
That they got a lot of that.
And so I liked how it was part of it, and everyone just didn't give it a chance, and it got canceled. And
I heard about it, but I didn't.
And they couldn't go on because the lead died.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton, fellow Texan, rest his soul. So
so
you can DVR this film now on VH1,
and you can probably go to a third-party bootleg site if you want to find old reruns of the show. So
I was on my Instagram and I asked a question, and I said, "What's the most gangster thing that you have ever done?"
Okay.
So I got some good answers.
Wait, so this is from
This is not
the
safe to
podcast
air.
Instagram or from your Instagram?
No, from mine
Your
because
personal.
we don't have
Yeah,
that
we-
many followers
we
yet
fixed
on
that.
Instagram.
Let's make
Follow
that-
us
Let's make
at
a disclaimer.
Wacky_Tacky. Blah.
Talkie. Okay, what's
That's
your
a pretty
disclaimer?
tacky.
Wait, I missed that.
So what's the most gangster
at
thing?
Wacky_Talkies. Sorry.
What's the disclaimer before we do anything else?
Disclaimer about
These
what?
viewpoints of Ruby do not reflect the viewpoints of the 2/3.
These
Yeah, go
these
for
are
it.
answers that my followers gave me, not my answer.
For sure.
So one was got a thug life tattoo with a smiley face. Rode a motorcycle down the tollway.
Wow, you're so gangster.
That's
Hey,
so
remember
ghetto.
Gangster is cool too.
Dude, you're such
That's-
a daredevil.
That's
man.
so redneck.
I'm
I'm
gonna call
sorry.
the cops on you.
That's redneck. That's not gangster.
You should
And
be
then-
in prison.
Don't get me
sir.
wrong. There are
The
gangster
other one
rednecks.
was went off on a drunk person for yelling obscene things to my friends.
That's just a decent thing
Sticking
to do.
up for your friends
That's
is
called being-
definitely gangster.
Well, it happens at a bar, so that technically makes you
Kudos
be a
to
barfly.
Yeah, I guess any decent human being is a gangster.
So what's the most gangster thing that you've done?
The most gangster thing that I've done,
What was gangster
I
thing?
dealt the weeds, man.
What?
I killed a man with this thumb. I did not deal weed, no.
The most gangster thing I have done is run a bunch of red lights and not give a fuck, and then flip off people who are being douchebags.
Okay.
The most
I'm king
gangster,
of the road.
The most gangster thing I probably did was kind of talk back to a police officer, not really.
Kiss my ass, cuz!
How does it kind of not really?
Yeah, so I was
Cuz-
just parked in front of the UT Arlington gym. We're technically not supposed to park there, but we had my hazards on, and I was waiting for one of my actors to come in.
Oh my god.
And then the police officer came in and was like, "Hey, you gotta move it." And I'm like, "Okay, officer." My friend is just walking, and she's like literally just walking down. I was like,
right
"Okay, we'll be closed in 1 second." And then I opened the door, and then she was coming in, and then I was about to leave, and the guy just said, "Stop! No, don't go anywhere." And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Are we gonna have a problem?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." He's like, "When an officer of the law tells you to move, you move." And I'm like, "Dang, dude, I was leaving."
Be like, I don't care if you're an officer in the law, you still can't be rude.
Someone needs a fucking donut shoved up somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I was
Suck
leaving.
I can't
He
stand
stopped me.
cops like that. This one cop fucking stopped me because he said that I didn't let him go first.
First
I
Can you
do-
fucking believe that?
First-
Like, he was coming this way,
Mhm.
and I had the yellow arrow to go.
Mhm.
He was far,
Mhm.
so I go,
Mhm.
and then he comes behind me and pulls me over and says that I should have waited for him to go and then me go.
Nah, he's just mad and he's in a position of power.
I
to
do
that.
security as my day job.
Mhm.
If I can be, also known as a civilian who happens to have a badge who reports problems, if I can be a bigger man who just lets douchebags go off the
Anyway,
property after mouthing off while I stare them down, why can't these fuckers?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
They're getting paid a ridiculous amount per hour, more than any of us will ever make in a lifetime. They get paid time off, especially when there's a scandal involving them,
Mhm.
unless they're, fired or discharged.
Plus, we
the
didn't even do
corruption
anything.
must end. Yeah,
We didn't even do
exactly.
anything.
But
We
anyways,
were mouthing off there.
yeah, nothing like that. But anyway, and then my husband told me too. He's like, you can't, don't be talking about it outside that. Just comply with them and stuff like that. And I'm like, I know, but at the same time, it's
No,
like,
no.
fuck, I'm a human being too, just like you are.
You're
Like,
gonna have to do that because
whatever. Anyways,
they're
the
gonna
most
tell you-
gangster thing that I've done is
Run a red light.
shot a gun. So
And
I've shot.
Show him your tattoo with the
What does it mean?
With the knuckle.
Oh, and I've gotten lots of tattoos.
With
yeah,
this-
that's
what's
so
this
Sons of
funny.
Anarchy
The-
tattoo.
with the
brass
knuckles.
knuckles.
With the brass knuckles.
I've shot several guns before, so that's probably the
believe
most
you.
gangster thing to do.
I
Aside
saw
from raising children and having children, that was horrible.
Okie dokie.
That's
Since
Hands up.
you guys took most of my movie suggestions, and since I have too many to count, I'm going to go with my top 10 gangsta shows.
Let's do it.
Shows?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's
shows.
mix it up,
All
let's mix it
right.
up.
Spoiler, it does not contain The Sopranos or Breaking Bad, because as influential as those are, I think these are 5 times a million better.
Oh, okay,
okay.
alright.
So, first up is The Wire,
Okay.
which took the... It's just, again, the docu... You've seen this?
I
Anyone?
have not seen it, but you can tell me.
Okay.
I've heard it. I've heard about it.
I saw this during college, and this... just resonated with me because it very much like Boys in the Hood, and it was by the creators of the TV show Homicide, and it really, despite being a low-rated show, its influence is just undeniable, very quotable, very diverse. And so I would get pissed off because I always try and introduce people to this because we're like, oh, here's one of the best shows of all time. It looks boring, or I couldn't get into it because it takes 4 episodes to find out what the hell's happening. I'm like, if you can stream in this day and age, you got no excuse. And seeing a clip from this show will not do you justice because you won't know the context. So I binge watched the hell out of this show, and yeah, it's on HBO Go and Amazon Prime. I was just glued instantly. It was just so graphic and just so mind-boggling and just smart, just so cerebral even. And this introduced me to Idris Elba, Stringer Bell, and what pissed me off is everyone acted like, oh, this is another procedural, oh, this is another gangster show. It's like, well, truth be told, it's neither. Oh. It just happens to show both sides of the law. Yeah. And then it goes even further. Like, it shows some cops who aren't necessarily corrupt, but it does show crooked lawyers, and it does show some cops crossing boundaries, like arresting a kid who just looks guilty, or stowing away some stolen money because they're not making this much money. Yeah. And then even going so far to have the gray area, like in the final season, which is actually my favorite. Most fans, it's not their favorite. I love how, in order to get funding for their wiretapping program, that's why they call it The Wire, they're stalling on it again because they're not seeing enough results. And so the main detectives decide, you know what, we're going to risk our career. Let's take a picture of a homeless dude and sell it to the media as, oh, this is a killing spree, serial killer.
What the hell?
And they buy into it because it's just, he looks like a bad person. Yeah. We got to bring this guy to justice, and they get funding for their wiretapping. Mm-hmm. And that's also a good season because the later seasons also explore how fucked up the Baltimore school district is, how it's impossible for anyone to learn because they're not motivated by anything. And this writing honestly sounds like poetry. Just listen to this movie, anything in the show. And last season that I just mentioned also deals with the journalism, how anyone will just take any story. Did you cite it? Well, I don't know. It just sounds legit. Definitely recommended. You can find it.
Definitely a problem.
Yeah, 5 out of 5. There is no better written show than this one.
Hey, Ruby, are you wearing The Wire?
No, I am not wearing a wire.
The Wire.
I think she made it clear she's a cholo. She's no snitch.
I no snitch.
Okay.
Next up, another 5 out of 5 show, and I think I mentioned this to our screenwriting professor Kyle. He's a big fan. The Shield.
The Shield. That's checklist.
I know most people here have seen Sons of Anarchy, and they have not seen this one, and it just mystifies me because, again, it's...
I've seen Sons of Anarchy.
That's a gangster movie.
Sons kind of goes downhill after a while.
Biker gang.
For me, The Shield is just a one-of-a-kind work, and if you're not... The pilot is all you need to see. This is one of the best pilots ever made, and I can't say it without giving it away. It's just the best... Yeah, again, like The Wire, everyone's like, oh, a cop show. It's not a cop show. It's a gangster show. Well, it's got gangsters in it and, rappers who control turf, but it's both. And
how is it compared to Sons of Anarchy?
It kicks Sons of Anarchy's ass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A lot of those same actors got reused. In fact, one of the writers on The Shield who made some of the lesser storylines later went on to Sons and even played a serial killer for one season. This is cool because this guy, Vic Mackey, he's very similar to Jack Bauer on 24, where he's always crossing the line. But what makes him cool is he's not even about just the interrogation. Just the opening line is like, good cop and bad cop left for the day. Different kind of cop. As he slams this guy's head in with a book after disconnecting the camera in the interrogation room. So, and everyone knows he's scum of the earth, but they like him because he plays turf wars. Like, there's this one key episode where he has Sticky Fingers character and another guy who both are shooting up the place on each other's war and not making he literally kidnaps them both, throws them both in a crater, and has them duke it out, and one of them emerges victorious. He's like, here, take the knife.
Wow.
Whoever wins gets to own the block.
Okay.
And so it's just really fucked up. And by the end of the show, it really becomes a cool cat and mouse, how he's becoming a hypocrite, and the other members of his squad are kind of going against each other, saying, "Hey, you said we couldn't do this, but I think we should do this because this is good." And this introduced me to Walton Goggins, who's now best known for Justified.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You've seen him in a bunch of
Justified. I've heard of that one.
You've seen him in other movies like Predators, and even as the cross-dresser guy with the boob job on Sons. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
that's him.
Oh,
Anyway,
God.
no, he was fucking wonderful as Shane Vendrell. And there's actually a great podcast about the Shield, so I'm not going to lecture anymore. But no one's seen this?
No.
No.
But you can watch it now on Hulu.
Yes, and I think it used to be on Prime. Now,